Let's get into it. Still sick, but we push on. I apologize if my voice sounds a little different. Lifelong Democrat gets red pilled by none other than the man himself. The only man who can be campaigning from a courthouse. The only man to go through what we're seeing in this whole banana republic. The Teflon Donald himself red-pilled this lifelong Democrat. She is now straight up Make America Great Again. But that's not the only thing that red-pilled her. It was what she saw in the city of Chicago, because she's from Chicago. She's from the heart of Chicago. And she's watching the mayor give hundreds of millions of dollars to the migrant crisis while she's watching her fellow citizens overdose, die, shot. There are so many problems in Chicago. And as she keeps watching these people who arrived illegally get treated better than them, sparks something in her brain. I hope it happens to many more people. I'm going to show you a clip of her talking at a city council meeting. She's talking directly to the woke mayor, Brandon Johnson, who they're trying to recall currently. We'll talk about that after. And then I'm going to show you a clip of her getting interviewed on Fox and everything she has to say there. Absolutely amazing. She'll tell her red pill story there too. Let's go.
Good afternoon to the city of Chicago. I am P. Ray of the 37th Ward. Chicago Red is our organization. Because we started this session with a prayer, I want to start my comment with the scripture. 1 Timothy 5:8 says, "But if any provide not for his own, and specifically for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel." So I want to talk to y'all today about not going to hell. In the 37th Ward, there was a family, the Jones family. Amarie Jones was standing in her family building that they've owned for 40 years, doing a TikTok dance with her mother. A bullet came through the window, hit her in the neck. She fell to the ground in front of her mother and bled to death. A month ago, on the Chicago mugshot page, her mother was on that page. Her mother had on her daughter's Rest in Peace t-shirt. She washed it so many times that it was completely faded out. She was completely high, out of her mind, and the charge was possession. Now, the first $51 million that this council gave to the migrants came from the opioid settlement funds. I am here on behalf of the Jones family, on behalf of the 37th Ward, on behalf of Black Chicago, on behalf of the entire city, to ask you all to vote no and put that money back in the opioid settlement fund. We need that money in my neighborhood. We need that on my block. That woman should not be at Cook County Jail because she's grieving over a random act of violence that caused her to lose her child in front of her face, when the city of Chicago has millions upon millions upon millions of dollars to give to people who ain't paid a dime into the tax base. We've been in my building for 52 years. We're about to pay some more taxes. The Jones family has been in their building for 45 years, paying taxes every year on time. So I'm asking y'all to use our tax money for our people. We need it. We got people leaning, we got people rocking, we got overdosing, we got pass out lines. You live on the west side, Mayor Johnson, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We need the money for us. We need opioid treatment on the west side of Chicago. We are the headquarters of the cartel, and everybody in here knows it. They selling more drugs than the law can allow, and y'all giving money back to them because they traffic those people up here, so we paying them going and coming. Absolutely not. We pay too much. It costs too much money to live in this city. Help Wanda Jones. Help every other grieving mother who feels like she has to go get high to get over the loss of her child. This is a woman who lived in that house. She still sleeps in that living room where her daughter passed out and bled to death. So I'm asking y'all to say no, put these people on the back burner, and put the money back in the opioid fund. We need that money. Thank y'all.
Wow. That is the first I've covered this whole meeting that they had before, because they were really giving it to Brandon Johnson, the mayor. But I did not realize that little piece of information. 51 million came from a fund that was supposed to be helping the citizens of Chicago, and it went to the illegal immigrants that have came over. Wow. I did not know that. That's absolutely crazy. And then on top of that, because this whole meeting that you're watching right now is for them to suggest another 70 million into the migrant crisis that's going on. So that would be $121 million right there, on top of, I think they've already spent 300 million. Some sources, I believe from the last video I did, said it was around $1 billion that has been spent. So, but I can say 300 million for sure. Now we're at 400 million if they actually get the whole 70 million done right now. Absolutely crazy, man. And then another thing she pointed out, and I saw this on X as well. She's like, these people haven't paid any taxes. Like, this is the taxpayer money, you know? I wish there was more of a say of where tax dollars went, you know? I wish there was more of a say, because it just goes everywhere. And I mean, California, I did a video on my main channel. California just lost $24 billion. They can't account for it. They don't know where it is. It was supposed to go towards the homelessness initiative. Now it's gone. That's taxpayer money. They don't know where it is. Just got absorbed by local government. Was supposed to put people in houses. Didn't do much of anything. Wild. And then, the 70 billion. And then the thing she brought up about the cartel. That's something you can only know if you live there, which is why I love covering these very local events, the city council meeting here. You could only know that if you live there, that the fact that the cartels are getting money both ways. They're getting money on the people that are actually coming over, because a lot of times the cartels help with that whole thing. Sometimes the cartels kind of have a grip on the people that come over. And the most nefarious thing to think about is some of them could actually be cartel members. Some of them. Again, that's just like a nefarious thought process. I can't verify that. I haven't seen anything like that. But the fact that there is a business going on for the cartel, because the drugs that are coming in that are affecting that city so badly, they're the ones bringing, you know? And not to put it all on them, you know, citizens of Chicago, there are gangs and, you know, all of that's running rampant, and they're doing the selling as well. Obviously, can't deny that. But just wild to know that that money, 51 million, that was meant for the citizens, was taking away. Again, I have to bring it up again and again and again. I'm going to move on to this next clip where she talks about getting red pilled by President Trump. But it's just so blatant. So blatant. The caption that I read on one post said they despise you openly. And I can't get that out of my head as I see things like this. Like, how could you do that? Knowing that you need money, I get it. Well, go apply for the money, do what you have to do. But to know that this money that you're taking, this 51 million, is for the citizens, and you know that they need it. You know, because you're the mayor. You can see it. Like she said, again, you can't know this stuff unless you listen to these local people. She's like, you live on the west side. You know what it looks like. So he knows, and he sees it, and he still goes, well, I'll just give the money to someone else. These other people. Whew. Well, this little clip that I just showed you got this woman on Fox, thankfully. So now her voice gets to spread even further. And she ended up bringing up a story about how she got red-pilled. And she's also talking about the black community and how they're slowly turning towards Trump because she's a part of a whole red wave that's going on in Chicago. And, you know, you have to believe it when you see it. But in that meeting, there were many people wearing MAGA and Make Chicago Great Again. You know, no more blue shirts, things like that. So it was very good to see. Let's move on to this clip.
Black residents in Chicago outraged at Mayor Brandon Johnson over his proposal for an additional $70 million for the migrants. P. Ray Easley is one of those Chicago residents, and she joins me now. P. Ray, a petition to recall the mayor is now gaining some steam. I take it this is all about the migrants, right?
Correct. The mayor has decided that he wants to put the taxpayers and the voters on the back burners to give our money and resources to people who have not paid a dime into our tax base. And for that reason, he has to go.
You once interned for Barack Obama before his presidency.
Yes.
Now
Correct.
You're a pro-Trump conservative. Well, what changed?
I moved out of the country in 2016 to go into a self-imposed political exile to protest him because I could not get full-time work with Obamacare. The employer mandate stating that people had to give, or employers had to give health insurance if they had employers who worked more than 30 hours prevented me from getting a full-time schedule. And so I said, forget this. I grabbed my 4-year-old and we moved to sunny Senegal until he was out of office.
You were in Senegal for a couple of years.
Yeah, I was there in 2010, and then I moved back in 2016 so that I could get around that entire process.
And when you came back and you saw Trump in operation, you liked what you saw?
I loved it. I actually had an opportunity to go to the White House with the Young Black Leadership Summit. And my goal for going there was actually to have a conversation with Dr. Ben Carson about federal housing mismanagement in the city of Chicago. And that turned into an invitation to the White House, and I literally got red-pilled by the President of the United States and brought that message right back to my people in my city.
How do your family and friends feel about this? Not many black folks are gung-ho Trump supporters.
Well, now they are. Initially, when I started doing this in 2019, no, they were not happy at all. People were booing me and throwing tomatoes and turning their backs on me. We were doing Black Chicago for Trump during the 2020 campaign. So we were slapping Black for Trump bumper stickers on Biden signs all around the city. However, now that people can see how our relationship with Jim Crow Joe has kind of settled, they're starting to say, oh my God, P. Ray, you were trying to save us. We're so sorry. We should have listened to you. We're ready to go as well, because I affectionately call the President Trump, my Donnie. So they're like, P. Ray, we want him to be our Donnie too, and it's more than enough to share.
Oh, real fast here. In 2020, Trump got roughly 8% of the black vote. What proportion of the black vote do you think he'll get this year?
60, 65, 70. We are done with the last living Dixiecrat named Joseph Robinette Biden. We are moving on. They have been very disrespectful to us, and we deserve better as American citizens.
I predict that within 2 years you'll be running for office. Am I right?
Thank you, sir.
I knew it.
Man, it should be regular people like her running for office. 100%. I say it all the time. 100%. She should be running for some kind of office there because she knows what's going on and she wants to put the citizens first. And I don't know what's going on with Brandon Johnson, but it doesn't seem like he's on that same page. Man, she went from on the Obama campaign to realizing the things that he put in place were actually detrimental to her quality of life, left the country, then came back because of Donald Trump, then actually got to meet the president and bang, loved everything she saw from his presidency. And now she's fighting a Democratic mayor to actually do what's right for the people of Chicago. Man, again, it's not going to happen with everybody. And I know that this story is not, there's not 1,000 stories like this popping up where somebody, protests and talks to the mayor and goes to the White House. It doesn't happen all the time. I know. But this is what I'm talking about when I say that you can have an effect. You can have some kind of effect on the local government. You can get in the mayor's face and say the things that need to be said on behalf of all the citizens. You can do it. You can do it. And you just think, if 10 million people had this woman's attitude, and I don't even mean just going, to Trump and wanting to be a Trump supporter. I don't even mean that. Just had the attitude of, I'm going to go to this city council meeting. I'm going to say what I have to say. I'm going to get in the face of these people. I'm going to let them know that we're not going to put up with this. Imagine if 10 million people had, imagine if everybody in Chicago was like that. Because, you got to be honest, this group is small. It's like a few hundred people, but still it's having some kind of effect, because like they said in that clip just now that I played, the recall petition is actually gaining steam. They really do want to recall this guy. Now, can they do it? I'm not sure, but it's launched. It's picking up a lot of steam. A lot of people have signed it. I'm talking about in the tens of thousands. And hopefully this guy gets recalled, and hopefully they do what's right and they put somebody in that's Republican. Again, it keeps happening. It's happened in Canada with Trudeau. I feel like it's happening with Gavin Newsom. They just see these young, good-looking guys and they go, wow, he looks really, Chicago got taken in. They were like, oh, look at this guy. There he is, Brandon Johnson. Clean cut, young gentleman, statesmanly. You know, everybody's, oh, I want someone statesmanly who doesn't go on Twitter too much. It's ridiculous. And then look at the results you keep getting. In those names that I just listed, think about the results that you're seeing. Man, I'm really happy to hear that she got red pilled like that. She's very happy. Look at that face. That's what happens to a black person when they turn over the Trump side. And you know what? I'm joking, but it's kind of serious. Think about everybody who's on the side of the left right now, who's like deeply into the left. They're always mad. They're always angry. They're always accusing people of being racist and they're always on this attack. Their face is always like this. They're always mad at something. They're always making demands. As soon as you go over to Trump, as soon as you figure out Trump's the one you want to vote for, look at that. It just becomes smiles. Look at that. Look at that unity there. Got an old white guy, young black lady, just laughing together. You know what I mean? That good old Trump unity. But honestly, less about Trump and more about that mayor. I hope he gets recalled, because to hear that he took $51 million from a fund that was meant to benefit the citizens of Chicago that's wild. That is comparable. Actually, no, maybe it's not comparable. I was going to say it's comparable to what Gavin Newsom did, where they can't figure out where this $24 billion went. That's much worse. But again, taking money, that money was for homelessness, and we have to assume that it went to homelessness, and pockets, undeniably to pockets as well. But that 51 million was there already. It's not like they're asking for 51 million and he's saying, no, I'm going to put it there. It was already there for them, and he took it and said it's going here, and then didn't put a dent in it. Still has the people of Chicago dealing with it themselves, the negative impact, and then says, I need another 70 million. It's so wild, man. But again, the bright side is when this stuff happens, when it keeps happening, it triggers people. It triggers people in a good way. And they say, I can't vote like this anymore. I can't be voting like this anymore, because every time I do, I get these wild results. And then they end up with a mega cowboy hat. I've never even seen one of those. Where'd she get that? And she has a Chicago red shirt on. That's what ends up happening. So that's the bright side to the whole thing. But I'll keep you guys updated to see what happens. If this guy gets recalled, like, come on. What's going on, California? That has to be next, right? All these places. I hope all these places that are so wildly blue, severely blue, I hope they start flipping red the same way. Like, learn from Chicago. If Chicago can do this, other places have to learn. Anyways, guys, like, subscribe, share, and let me know what you think of this whole thing in the comments. I'm out.